every time you interact with your student, your therapy client, your parent or your friend, think what questions you can ask them that would allow them to explore themselves. Every time you ask your student a question, think what question you can ask such that it will help your student to find out a little bit more about himself or herself during that conversation. That type of conversation will be profoundly different and fulfilling. The reason why mental health tends to be in the forefront of public consciousness now is that it's only in a therapist's office we can get an experience that will learn something about ourselves. We become aware, in other words, of something about ourselves that we cannot become aware of in our day-to-day life experience. But imagine how different the world would feel like and look like if in each conversation we had with a friend, we would choose to empower him or her by creating a line of conversation that helps them learn a little bit about themselves. This is equally applicable in a teaching context. A few days ago, I was teaching a learner and we were exploring colours in our lesson. And the learner just happened to enjoy brighter colours, like bright orange or bright green, way more than he did so with dim colours. It was really interesting when I asked him at the end of that activity, what did you learn about yourself today in relationship to colours? And the learner said, I learned that I actually enjoy being around brighter colours rather than dim colours or pastels. And I asked my learner, so why would that be? And he said, one of the reasons could be that when I'm looking at a bright colour, such as bright orange or bright green, it brings me back to an early childhood experience that I had when I was living with my grandma. And my grandma arranged this setting in my room, the interior of my bedroom, in a way that I had many bright colours around me. I had some bright orange vase that I really loved, and it created a sense of coziness and safety in my life back then. And every time I'm looking at a bright colour now, that feeling of safety arises in me. That's why I feel safe and secure when I'm looking at a bright colour. And so I asked my students, so do you think you could surround yourself intentionally by brighter objects and brighter things? And he said, oh yes. It just so happens that in my current environment, I don't have enough of those bright things. And actually, he thought, if I took up this experiment of trying to surround myself with brighter colours and see how I feel, how that makes me feel, I think I would be very, very happy and my experience would be different. So that was something that he learned in his English lesson. Similar expansion of our awareness with regard to ourselves could be stimulated by ourselves for our nearest and dearest people, and also for everyone we intersect with. One of the reasons why conversations may feel fake is that we very often stay in our own mind and we don't feel brave enough to be vulnerable and bridge the gap between our experience and the other person's experience. It's as if we don't feel we can open up for a view received from the other person that would not be consistent with an image that we want to project, how we want to be perceived by them. And in this video, I want to encourage you to start viewing your interactions from the perspective of empowerment. How can you empower another person? And asking them questions that help them explore themselves would be one of the most effective routes to that destination.